The arrival of the First Fleet marked the start of an English colony in Australia, which only happened because of Cook's journey in the late 18th century. But that's the British story. Many other nations were sailing the high seas in a race to find a great southern land. And there's one first contact theory that blows all others out of the water. I'm heading to a secret location not all that far from where Captain Cook first landed. My guide is an environmentalist named Cassar, who subscribes to a very radical take on history. What's more, he's going to show me the evidence. Well, this is the last place you'd expect to see Egyptian hieroglyphs, isn't it? There are so many. There's a load over here, and up here as well. Do we know what they say?
There's a story I heard from an old lady when I was a young fella growing up not far from here, and this is just local folklore, Tony. 2 Egyptian princes came out here, of course, all the way from Egypt and ended up shipwrecked. And they've made their way up the hill where one of the brothers got bitten by a snake, and this may be a representation of the snake here with the horned viper, and the 2 little birds may represent the Egyptian princes. So one of the brothers was bitten by a snake and passed away, and the other Egyptian brother lived his life out here with the local tribe. Yeah, well, there's a group out at Penrith, a tribe out in the Sydney area that apparently use a lot of Egyptian words in their language. Also in Western Australia, they say that they've got the same word for sun, Ra.
There's a criticism, isn't there, that actually the Egyptians didn't have the technology to sail boats all this way 4,000 years ago.
I've heard that, but if the Aboriginal people came over on canoes and the Maori went to the land of the long white cloud in canoes, I can't see why the Egyptians couldn't do it. I mean, they had flushable toilets a couple of thousand years before Christ.
You're very robust about this, aren't you? You believe it?
Well, if it is genuine, then it could really change history the way we know it.
He's determined to believe that it's all true, but look at me, I'm just an old English sceptic. To me, the idea that Egyptian civilization discovered Australia 4,000 years ago is just very, very daft. But maybe what all this does demonstrate is the fact that we all yearn to have something ancient and dramatic in our lives and in our landscape. But the irony, as far as the Australians are concerned, is that they do. Look at all these. These are the marks left by Aborigines over thousands of years. That is the real dramatic, ancient, magical story of Australia.
21st century Egyptologist Raymond Johnson believed them to reveal the burial site of Lord Nefertiru, a member of the Egyptian royal family, who died while visiting the area with his brother sometime between 2637 to 2614 BC.
Absolutely beautiful out here.
I know.
While visiting the area in 2016, Giorgio Tsoukalos met with local ancient astronaut theorist Evan Strong to get a first-hand look at these enigmatic carvings.
Wow! That's incredible. I had no idea. I mean, this looks totally different than on pictures. So what do these hieroglyphs say?
Well, at least one panel talks about 2 brothers, 2 princes, coming here from Egypt. They were shipwrecked. One of them ended up getting bitten by a snake. He then died. The theory is then he was interred here, and that's why you've got hieroglyphs here, because he died here. But there's these other walls with a mixture of symbols. This one over here, it's more of a philosophical astrophysics style thing with symbols meaning all sorts of esoteric stuff. So
now, have these symbols at all been interpreted by Egyptologists?
There've been a few, actually. A few different people have done that.
What was their reaction?
Well, Raymond Johnson was one of the first people to come here and translate. He actually sent some of his translations off to the Cairo Library, and Dr. Abu Diagazi ended up saying, yep, you're on the right track. Something called Proto-Egyptian.
And how old do you reckon these are?
We're thinking, because of their prevalence at least in one panel of Proto-Egyptian, that it's about 4,600 years old.
Wow. Are there any hieroglyphs that stand out to you?
Yeah, definitely. Follow me down here, and I'll show you this other one. So this one here, we call the UFO glyph, and people have called that since they've been coming here, because it kind of looks like a UFO.
Yeah, it definitely has the classic UFO shape. It's got the rays, or whatever you want to call it. What would you suggest if anyone says, well, this is not a UFO, it's some other symbol, but certainly not that?
I think someone suggested it's jewelry, but it's a completely different symbol that's upside down, and it really doesn't quite fit in. It's one of those symbols here that doesn't fit into the canon.
In your opinion, why do you think the Egyptians made it all the way to Australia?
I think they were looking for esoteric wisdom, definitely.
From the Aboriginals?
Yes.